Rockeyez would like to welcome Bryan Holland of Reverence. Hey man, what's going on?
Hey Brian, how are you? I really appreciate you having us on, and hope we got a lot of listeners out there that are digging the album.
Cool, cool, cool. Definitely a great album. When Darkness Calls, just released. Getting rave reviews. Our review will be up in a day or so, which we also rave about it. It brings back the great times of metal with the great guitar licks and screaming vocals, and people got to check you guys out.
Well, thanks. I appreciate. I haven't seen the review from you, obviously, but I trust you, and we've we've been very, very lucky to with such good reviews. It's definitely blown us away. We weren't expecting that. We really didn't know what to expect, honestly.
Cool.
So it's been a very pleasant surprise.
Great, great, great. I love the album cover art. It's excellent. I really like that. How did you come up with that design and whatever?
The artist is Yober Mello from Sledgehammer Graphics. He's from Brazil, I believe, and I've worked with him for a while. Started working with him back when I was working in Tokyo Blade. He did such, and never lost touch with him, and he was always a great artist working with him then. So definitely wanted to revisit him with this band. But the whole concept, I just kind of I saw an image online that we bought the rights to that had it was just a kind of a black and white kind of image with that Pope kind of guy. And I just knew that there had to be some way to kind of bring that thing to life, to kind of give it more of a three-dimensional kind of look. And so basically, if I showed it to you, you'd be blown away as to what he actually did. In fact, you'd actually see the image on a couple of shirts that are on our Facebook and stuff. Yeah, that's actually the black and white image.
Right.
And he actually brought that full color, bone structure, everything. I mean, he did an amazing job. So, I mean, anybody looking for massive, great artwork at a reasonable price, Yober is wonderful.
Cool, cool. Tell me a little bit about the Tokyo Blades days. Tell me a little bit about the touring. How was it? Tell me some of the things that could have been on your tour rider, because that band was pretty popular in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't get too kind of crazy on anything. I didn't ever regard ourselves as being rock stars or anything, and still don't. I mean, we were just out playing guitars and having fun. But I mean, there was always the steady stream of beer and booze, and it always ends up being pretty lightweight finger food that's on the rider. But more often than not, we'd end up going out to dinner with promoters or venue guys or whatever with the crew. But we didn't have anything real extravagant. But I love touring. Touring is a blast, but it's a lot of work too. And the only time you really get to see anything is maybe on a day off, or if you get up early to go hang out in a city or something, go check things out. But otherwise, it's always travel.
Right.
I mean, you get a little bit of best of both worlds, but I've seen Europe many, many times from the back of a van and a bus. So,
wow.
So I mean, hey, yeah, I went to Europe, but unless you actually have a day off, like we'd have a day off in Paris or Athens or something, where we could go out and actually venture out into the town and check out the sites. It's kind of just go, go, go.
Yes, I understand that. Yes, very well, because I was just with Lillian X, and I was hanging on their tour bus, and I see basically, it's not an easy job.
No, it's a lot of work.
People think it's oh yeah, I go on stage, I get all the glory, and that's it. It's grueling. I mean, you got to push yourself. You got to bend to fans, autographs, pictures. I mean, really nonstop. I mean, like you said, it's best of both worlds, but it is a tough schedule to keep.
Yeah, and you always get the people that are, most people are really, really cool, and I don't think any of the guys usually have problems with, doing pictures or signing anything. It's just, sometimes you're wanting to have dinner, or you're in the middle of a conversation, or, sometimes we have some kind of a business kind of thing going on with the band, a group meeting or something. Somebody kind of, want to interrupt for something silly. So, I mean, that's kind of irritating then, but I guess that's just par for the course, I guess. It's just going to be part of the deal of doing what we do.
Right. Let's get to some of the new CD, When Darkness Calls. For me, listening to it, I mean, there were so many different influences. I felt Man of War. I felt Loudness. I felt a lot of other bands, but one of the tracks that really sparked me was Monster. Can you tell me anything about that song?
Yeah, I can. It's probably my least favorite song, but a lot of people are digging that song, and I think it's my least favorite simply because I threw it together very quickly. I always like to have something in Todd's hands to be working on, and I was going to Florida with my family. I knew I was going to be gone for at least a week, maybe two, and that would be, time where he wouldn't have anything to work on. So I threw together what you hear in Monster and then sent it to him, and I'm not kidding, probably within 2 or 3 days he sent it back, and it was almost just like it is. It's almost done. So I didn't feel like I really, threw quality time into it like I had the others. Maybe that's just not necessary, but I didn't feel like I really did everything I probably should have done to make it the best it could have been, but everybody seems to like it, so
So you did a
hard
good
to
job.
complain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. The next track I like to bring up is Revolution Rising. Can you tell me anything about that track?
That's the very first song that we completed. We actually tried to write another song. Once Todd and I got together, we tried another song that kind of was a bit Dokkenish, and we didn't want that kind of direction. We wanted a heavier direction that was more of an early Judas Priest, early Queensryche, early Sabotage kind of a sound. And the next song, we didn't even complete the first one. We just, okay, that's not going in the right direction. Let's just stop and let's retrack. So I came back with that music, and I pretty much write almost the entire music before I give it to him, and then we may work with some arrangements and things like that. But that was the very first completed song where we say, wow, this is, I think that's how Revolution was. But the probably 50% of the time I'll give him song topic or title of what I think music is pushing towards, even before obviously he's put lyrics to it. So maybe 50% of the time he'll actually keep my titles and ideas.
Cool.
But he actually kept that one. So somehow I could almost hear Revolution Rising in where he put it, and he could too.
Cool. Another track I really enjoyed was Bleeding for Me. Can you tell me anything about that track?
Bleed, yeah, that actually came together pretty quick, and I wanted something different on the verses, and that's why you got that kind of an inversion, kind of a held inversion chord there that's kind of strange, and it's kind of an odd sound a little bit. At first it was a little foreign to me, but I think that's something, and it was different than anything else we'd had at that point. So, but the riff was really strong. I felt really good about that, and I felt really good about the chorus. So, and then Todd, when he gets the music and he throws his lyrics and melody on it, it fit perfect. Pete Rossi did the solo on that, which is, to me, really George Lynch-ish.
Right.
He's got this kind of a tapping kind of style down that's very George-ish and fit perfect. And oftentimes when I write, I'll put in for placement an area where I think a solo will go, so I'll kind of lay down a quick solo. And he actually used elements from the original solo that I wrote in with that. So I thought that was really cool. But and as far as the topic material, we don't really like to write about relationships. It's not kind of how we wanted our band to be.
Right.
We didn't want to be boy, girl, really love, all this crap. We didn't want to be Poison. We wanted to be metal. And not to the extreme where you're going, Metal Warriors and stuff like that with like Man of War. But that one actually has a bit of a relationship twist to it. And I think some people kind of take those lyrics a little bit too far, because it's almost kind of the first time I heard it, I'm like, that's kind of vampirish, the lyrical content. And Todd's kind of given some meaning. I think, and he actually did a video, kind of a song-by-song thing that you can find on YouTube about all the songs. But that one's actually more about, if you really want to be with somebody or they really want to be with you, it's questioning how far will you go?
Right.
Will you bleed for me? Will you go this far? And I think that's really what the topic was that he was pushing, and just kind of used some harsher lyrical content.
Great. It's a great track. And probably one of my favorites, maybe my favorite, is After the Leaves Have Fallen, the ballad on the CD. Can you tell me anything about the arrangements on that, and what happened? And
Yeah, that's a surprise because so many people have liked that song, and it almost didn't make it simply because it wasn't supposed to. Todd and I made a pact when we first joined up. We weren't going to do a bunch of relationship stuff, and we weren't going to do any ballads. We wanted just a flat out, full on metal album, and that's the way it was going to be. And once we got done writing, I just was sitting around, and I felt like writing was over. I wasn't purposely trying to write for any particular reason, but I picked up my guitar, and my dad had passed away about 5 years ago, and I just felt kind of drowsy down in the dumps a little bit, and so I just kind of started doing this picking thing, and I threw this little progression that is the early part of the song, and I sent it to Todd, and I said, hey, if you want to do anything with that, I thought it was kind of cool, if you dig it, and you put something on it, maybe we can kind of do it as a hidden track or something like that we don't even list. So he sent back the part that you hear, early part in the song, and then it actually continues acoustically, where he gets in the higher registry kind of screaming, but short, probably half the length of the song that is on the album. But as soon as we did that, and then I let Todd or Doc and Pete listen to it, Doc was like, dude, you got to make that into a song. This is just way too short. And you got to put a heavy part to it. And he could hear almost like the sabotage-y kind of feel to it, I guess. And Pete came back. Pete wrote all the heavy parts to it and wrote that awesome solo. And we turned it into a full-fledged song. And Todd really didn't even want it. We got to rehearsal, and that's the first time we'd actually ever played it, even though we had a demo. I guess he didn't pay attention to the demo much. But we got into rehearsal, and we played it, and he was like, wow, I guess we gotta keep it now because it's really good.
Right.
But it was never supposed to be on the album. It was, at best, supposed to be maybe this little hidden little gem at the very, very end, kind of that nobody even knew about. So, but it's a surprise because everybody seems to like it.
Yeah, it's very good.
Which feels pretty good, for something that wasn't supposed to be.
Wow.
Inspired by my dad,
Yeah. So this album was self-produced, self-released, I guess on your own label, Razor Ice Records. And,
yep, correct.
Will this possibly go further to a bigger label, major label? Are you getting any approachments from anybody?
We haven't since it's been out, but we had talked to some other labels, and honestly, the offers that they had kind of came back to us were nothing that we were really too excited about.
Right.
And they were just crap offers. They were crap offers, but I think that was just their general offer. I think it's just a normal offer. And honestly, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. And Todd and I wrote for a year and a half. And I just, all the work into it and all the money into it and all the artwork and everything, just to hand it over for 15%, just didn't seem like that was the thing we wanted to do.
Right.
So knowing that I had my own little indie label in my back pocket and knowing that I could get it out at a fair distance, maybe not as far depth as distribution as some other labels, but knowing we could still get it out pretty far, goes to go that way.
Wow. So, do reviews actually help sell the album, or you just pushing it helps better?
I think us pushing it actually helps better.
Right.
The reviews have been very nice, and I think they probably help to some degree. Obviously, as other people read these sites over time, and we are getting some reviews in real magazines versus just online webzines and such. But I think it's our own promotion that we're doing that has really been the biggest effect.
Great. Is there a possible tour coming up?
Yeah, we actually have dates in Western Europe for a tour run that we're wanting to do in November. And so we've got dates in the Netherlands and Belgium and Germany and Switzerland. And I know that the booking agent's working on, I think, a couple of Paris shows and maybe even a UK run.
Cool.
So that's in the works, and we're hoping to put all that together for November.
Cool. Have you ever thought about a solo album?
No, no. I guess this is my solo album.
Yeah. So, what's the next step for the band?
Well, believe it or not, I'm sick to death of this record. I hope everybody else likes it but I've heard it a million times, and everything it's all new to everybody else. Not that I dislike it. I think all the songs we felt must have been strong enough to be put to the public, but I've just obviously having rewritten it and written it and rewritten it, and produced and rehearsed it and recorded it, and all this is just you hear this stuff hundreds and hundreds of times. I'm fairly beyond being overwhelmed with it, or I don't. Wow, that's a really great song anymore.
Right.
It's hard to do that once you've had this thing on your mind for 2 years. So I've actually started writing for the second one. I've actually got a couple of songs nearly completed that are actually more of a heavier vein than this album, but it's a very and straight too far from what we're doing already.
Well, I thank you very much for this interview. It's great talking to you, and congratulations on When Darkness Calls once again. Phenomenal album, great metal. Would you like to say anything to your fans out there?
I really appreciate everybody that's supported us so far. We've been having people from all over, from Japan to South America. I mean, literally all over the place that have come and surprised us as to how much they've been happy with this album and how much they feel like it's really brought back, some of that early metals vibe, which is what we were trying to do. We were trying to hit that, and that was the stuff we grew up with. And that's part of what the band's name is about, because we revere that early 80s metal.
Right.
So, I mean, I think we've touched on a little bit of the vein from back then, and people are reacting, which feels very good. But anybody that hasn't heard the band, if you like old school, Judas Priest and Sabotage and early Queensryche, probably another band, a few bands that I don't even listen to, but apparently sound like. If you dig that music, probably the best place to grab the album and the cheapest, it would be from our own website. You can get it download full album for $6, and the digipack for $10 plus shipping. So and that's website's reverencemetal.com.
Thanks very much,
so,
Bryan.
I very much appreciate it. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate the time, and have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.